Hey guys, it's Amanda here, and I wanted to have an important talk with you, how to get your dreams and how to get there faster. So I'm gonna basically break it down on a topic that is related to my own story. And the one that I figured would be easiest to relate to for everybody would be, how did I manifest and get my house? And my house, if you guys don't know, it is a massive house. It's over 13,000 square feet. It has 10 bedrooms, 10 bathrooms. It's on an estate with 15 acres. It's a horse estate, so I also have barns as well as sheds and tons of fencing. I'm in a private gated neighborhood with only another 6 neighbors of mine. And it's in one of the most amazing parts here in Virginia. I'm not going to tell exact location, but for privacy purposes, but it is in a place that I have access to trails that are maintained by the county, so I don't have to deal with that. It also has water access in the back. Of course, it's a little bit far, but I do have water access. And our water here in Virginia is just a giant river, so it's like a river. And then I also have access to another trail system that is about 10 miles, so I can go biking, I can go hiking, I can go running in the woods. So how did I manifest and envision this as being mine? Well, the first and foremost, I gotta start off and said I didn't believe in it. I didn't believe in it. I didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe in the possibility that you can talk it into existence. Even though now that I look back, remember what Steve Jobs says? He said that you can never align the dots going forward. You always have to align it looking back. It is so true. Like, because now I can look back and easily say, well, that's how. That's how it all aligned where I'm at now. So give me a second. My dogs need to be let out. So hold on. Okay, so I'm gonna have to go get them in a second, but first and foremost, I wanted to say that I wanted to show you the front of the yard, but it is really pouring rain out there. I'll give you a little glance, and that's about it. And I'm not going to do like a house tour or anything like that. I think you can kind of tell from the angle I chose of my house that is a pretty massive house. And if you can hear my voice echo, this is the foyer. So the foyer is really, really massive. And I've got I have no idea how tall my ceilings are. I really don't. They're tall. I'm 5'3", and they're tall. I'll show you. But my normal height of my floor height, I've got 4 floors on this house. And I do consider it a house. It's my home. The normal size of the ceilings is 11 foot. And I've got 11-foot ceilings and 2 of my 4 floors. My other floor has a normal ceiling, and the other 2 floors after that have 2 normal ceilings, which is like 9-foot ceilings. So that is pretty much the gist of it. But I'm not going to have you like walk around my house, privacy. But I did want to show you at least the front, but it is pouring rain. So I will give you a little glance so you can see this. And why am I doing this? So why am I like showing you a bit of my house? Why am I chose the house as the thing to inspire you? So there's my dogs. Oops, well, they just ran by. And the reason I did, my couch is a little bit messy over there, but you get the gist. All right, I've got 2 porches too. So this is one porch, and then I've got another porch over there. I don't know if you can really see from this angle. I don't want to get soaking wet. And I've got a full, you can't tell from there. I've got a full other porch above my head. So that's a balcony. All right, anyhow, it is pouring rain, but you can kind of see a little bit of the windows. That is a house way out there in the distance. And there's about, I was calculating it the other day, there's about 60 acres of view space in my front yard. So it does look more massive than it is on what I own in front, but I own quite a bit in the back too. Anyhow, and why do I tell this? Why did I choose this location? Why did I choose this story just to inspire you guys? Well, because everybody has the dream or a vision of owning a nice home. All right, owning a nice home, owning it in a nice neighborhood, enjoying your space, and all that good stuff. Let me move you over here. All right, and why did I choose to use this story to inspire you to doing what you want in your life, and how to essentially manifest it quicker? Well, a couple of reasons. Like I said, one is because most people dream of a nice house and owning something nice, of high value, you can say. Another reason is because it's the easiest thing I can relate to others on, you getting anything you want in life, right? A home is one of those things that everybody needs, right? You got to rent it or you got to own it, but you need it. And I had another one, but I can't think of it right now. It'll probably come to me later, but either way, we'll just go ahead and start off on how did I get here. And I'm pretty sure I will interject some other things that I remember when I first started this live, but my dogs interrupted me, so that threw me way off of what I was going to start with. Anyhow, so I wanted to inspire you. Oh, now I remember. See, I knew it'd come back. Okay. I wanted to inspire you with my house because it's a part of visualization. All right. I chose to shoot here, this live tonight, because a lot of people don't see this in my lives. All right. I don't talk about it. I don't show it. I don't flaunt it, you could say. I don't have an ego. I bought my house for me and nobody else. But I show it because I understand the power of visualization, the power of imagining or dreaming yourself into a place, because that's what got me here. Right? It didn't just magically appear. It didn't just like magically appear. Literally, that's the best way to say it. I worked for this and I envisioned this, and that's how this happened. And so now I'm going to break down the little story on that and how I had to go about the process of getting here, as well as how you can use those steps to get whatever you want to. All right. So first things first, I used to always drive around nice neighborhoods, always, every single night. It was like, get in the car, go drive in nice neighborhoods, get as close to the nice neighborhood as I possibly can. Now, some are gated, obviously, some are, where you can't see the house because there's a bunch of woods, but I still drove in the neighborhoods. I still looked at the cars. I still, got as close as possible, right? Don't break laws. Don't go into neighborhoods you're not supposed to. Don't, try to work your way in by pretending to be the mail driver or something. Don't do that. That's not cool. You don't want people to do that at your house, and don't do it to other people. All right, but I got as close as the vision as I could. So for me, this house was in the distance, and I was a regular, drive to my last house. So I would always drive past this property in some way or another, and I would look over while it was being built. So this was a while ago. This was 2009. I saw this house being built, and I was just like, that would be amazing if I could make enough money and live in a place just like that. And I'd say that every single time I drove by this property. Every single time. And I would say I really love how it's all brick or stone, because it's kind of like brick and stone. So it's all whatever. It's all like rock or stone. I love the roof line. I love the size of it. I love the land. I love the woods. I love that it's so close to town. And I would kind of say everything I loved about it and all those things that I would want in my dream house, right? I was like, all right, well, I would like something just like that, the size, whatever, and never think about the money, right? Never think about the money. Say, well, if I had the money or it came into my life, I'm working toward that. I am working toward it, right? But never made that the stopping point. Never having excuses, never having doubts, never having oh, but I can't ever, or I won't ever be able to. I never had that, ever. It was always I want something like that, and if that's available, then I will welcome it into my life. I will ready myself to be in a position that when that comes into my life or something like that comes into my life, I'll be ready to obtain it, right? And so Fast forward, that was in 2009. I saw this house built. It finished in about 2012. In 2016, I bought it. All right. And how that happened, the most unlikely of stories. But at the time, I lived at my other house for 10 years. Again, it was much further away from here. But I would use this road a lot. And I would see this house being built, like I said, for a long time. And every time I passed it, what did I do, guys? It's exactly what you need to be doing. I talked about it. I envisioned it. I imagined what I would do in this house. I would imagine what life would be like. I imagined all kinds of things, and it was never like any doubts around it. All right. And I'd like to keep giving you this message so it really sets in. Okay. So never place any doubts on and limitations on yourself when you're manifesting your life. Okay. So, and of course, I could never tell you any of this from that stance until I obtained it and did it. And now I can talk to you about it because, again, remember what Steve Jobs said? He said that it never aligns looking forward. It always aligns looking backwards. All right. So, drive by all the time, 2016, looking for a new house. All right. At that time, I already paid off my first house. I lived there 10 years. I sold a business with my partner, and life was decent. It was good, but we didn't have nothing else that we were working on. We had a bunch of real estate, nothing really too spectacular. We had about, at that time, I think we had like 32. I think it was 32. It was 32 units, and what units could be is like apartment buildings or townhouses or regular houses. We didn't do land, or vacation homes, and that was actually vacation homes didn't count as an asset, so we didn't count those. But anything that produced money that somebody could live in, all right, that's what we called a unit. All right, so we had about 32 units or something, and so it wasn't making enough to live off of, and we just sold the business, and we were just like, I don't know what I want to do next. So we talked about different options. We talked about moving was like the big thing to jumpstart the next thing. So moving was in the cards because the last house we were at, even though I loved it, I don't think he loved anything, but that's okay. That's another whole story. But I loved it. Raised my 3 kids at that first house. But it was literally like getting further and further away from town because town kept creeping up to it. Okay. At first it was a nice, like relaxing drive, only about 30 minutes away from everything, which is a lot now that I think about it. 30 minutes is like, yeah, a lot. But, it was a nice, comfy, drive, and it was like very wooded back then. Well, they tore all the woods down and built a whole bunch of like shopping centers and stuff since then. And so 2016, I was ready. I've been in that first property 10 years. Even though I loved it, I was ready for something different. And my partner was too at the time, which was my ex-husband. Anyhow, so we were looking at moving closer, like into DC, or like really, really super close, like 10 minutes on the DC circle. So I am, of course, not very far from DC myself. But we were looking at all those houses and townhouses and different things that we could be possibly doing there, like running another business, him working somewhere, me doing something online, because I've always been online, so that's always been my passion. And just trying to figure out, okay, what's next? We sold a business, we're pretty financially stable. We had just paid off our house. We had some investments, our cars were paid for. So, even my ex had 2 sports cars at one time and a Jeep. So it's like he had all his fancy things and everything. So we were essentially made it, right? But it was just like, okay, well, what next? What next? Because there's always a what next. You don't want to, well, I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to sit around the rest of my life. But so it was like the turning point. So I don't want to make it too long-winded. I know I am somewhat. But 2016, driving around, looking at some ideas and everything. And of course, again, I was still driving by this house all the time and going, yeah, it'd be really nice if something available came up in that neighborhood. Because, I wasn't really picky. Like, I wanted a nicer house. I wanted more space. I wanted land. And even though my last house had land and it was a really nice house, but I wanted more out of my life and out of my stuff and stuff. And I wanted to do more with my space, which I couldn't. I was pretty limited on doing stuff I wanted to do at my last house because I just didn't have the space. Even though I absolutely loved that last house too. But either way, things will come in your life and you have to sacrifice them. So that's the first step. So if you're manifesting something, you're going to have to make sacrifices. And that's the hardest thing to do. It really is. And at first it might seem easy until you start doing it and you're like, oh my God. And it's like painful, like literally painful. Like, especially if you've gotten attached to stuff for like 10 years, then it is seriously painful to get out of that comfort zone and do something totally different. So that was me when I was just like, okay, we're moving. We looked at a bunch of houses and it was just the mindset that we would be moving. We just didn't know where or what we were going to buy, and we didn't know how we were going to come up with the money. Even though we had money in the property that we essentially paid off, we still had to pay taxes on that. We still had to move, which is an added cost, and figure out, well, after that, where are we going to come up with money to invest in the next thing, right? Because we just used all our money to pay off the cars and the house, and we put some money away in some stocks and things like that, but it wasn't like huge, right? So it was just like, all right, well, what's next? And so we ended up selling our two vacation places. So we had a place in, well, technically the other one was a vacation place. It was a piece of land. So we had a piece of land we had, and I told you we don't invest in land. It wasn't an investment. It was right next to our house. So we sold the land that was next to our house. We sold the vacation home that we had in Snowshoe, West Virginia, and we essentially sold the house we lived in. And at the time, like I said, didn't know where or what we were going to do. I was browsing through listings on Zillow at the time. You can look up possible houses that were coming onto the market, and I found an address, and it would have put the place about this area, like this part of town. So I was like, what's the chance of it being this house, right? What is the chances of that? And I debated this thing for almost a week. That was just like, maybe I should just call the realtor, because it didn't list the price, it didn't list pictures, it just gave a general like GPS address, and I knew it was somewhere in the vicinity, and there's only so many neighborhoods in this vicinity, so I knew it would have had to been one of these neighborhoods. That I was like, what would be the chance that that house that was literally just built in 2009 is now just finished in 2012 is available now in 2016? What is the possibility? And I was like, I would literally like not be able to sleep at night if I ever found out that that was the house that was for sale, is the house that I've been talking about like forever, right? So I'm like, all right, I'm going to call our neighbor, which is in the neighborhood, our last neighborhood, and see if they can go take us by this place, right? So they got the address, still didn't know if it was the house, because we knew where the neighborhood it generally was. Again, but there was 3 neighborhoods around here, so we're not really sure. And so, like, got in the car and drove us out, and it was the house. But there's a disclaimer. It came with a whole bunch of stipulations, and that's the sacrifice. And so ended up coming here and going, oh God, this is the house. Wow, amazing. And right before, like the night before, he sent us some photos of the house, and we're like, oh my God, it's the house, right? And we were like, okay, we're gonna go see it. Well, at least I was excited, because like I said, it was my vision, right? So I was like, all right, we're gonna go see it. It's gonna be amazing. I wonder what it looks like inside. And it was totally trashed. It was gutted, trashed, and it was bad, like bad. I cannot describe the level of bad it was, because I have, out of all my rental properties that I've ever been in, and I've been in some really, really bad ones, like ripped out drywall, like people stuffed stuff in the walls, messed up everything. Like literally this house was the biggest project that I've ever seen as scale of the worst property I've ever been in. And the outside was very misleading, because the outside facade of the place still looked decent. It wasn't great because all of the landscaping was destroyed. Like the yard didn't have a driveway. It was literally just like a mud path, but you couldn't see this from the distance that I used to drive by it. They were missing all the barns. They were missing the sheds. The fences were falling apart. It was missing a whole like row of fencing, trees down. Like I cannot describe the level of bad it was. Like it was so bad. There was holes in the walls everywhere. The painting, like it was half painted. It was words everywhere. There was food everywhere in the lamps. The lamps were broken. The cabinets were broken off of the actual the old kitchen stuff. It's not like that anywhere. It's a whole other kitchen now. But at the time, they had another kitchen. The granite was broke on it. So that, yeah, people broke the granite. There was cabinets missing. There was no appliances. There was no carpets. The carpet was gone because the bank had to rip it out because there was a lot of sewer damage, as well as they left 12 dogs in the house and was literally throwing dog food everywhere. This is how bad it was. Yeah, it was definitely a shock, right? So I was just like, okay, well, so this is supposed to be my dream house, right? So I was like, do I really want to go through all this? Like, yeah, and so I started debating, like, do I really want to get it? You know, do we want to move forward this? We're going to have to literally sell everything we have to actually even purchase it, because that's the price it would have cost. And not only that, how are we going to come up with the money to actually rehab it? So it's like, all right. So we actually ended up putting in a bid, and we got it accepted. But then last minute, like 24 hours before it was like finalized, we had 2 other bids come out higher, and we found out, but we didn't know the price. And so we decided to sell literally everything we had at that point, like literally everything we had to get this house, because it ended up being something we both really wanted at the time. And so it's like, all right, we're gonna have to sell the land. We had to sell the vacation house. We had to sell we had another property that was a smaller investment that we had. We sold that. We ended up taking out all our stocks and like situating everything around, like putting things like that we essentially paid off back on the loans. And so we maneuvered everything. And then we were like, okay, well, how much more can we put in this, right? How much more can you give? How much more, you know? And this is what you have to, and I'm telling you this whole story, even though it's really long-winded, because I want to really like give you visualizations and moments in my life that you can relate to and say, oh my God, I know how that is, or oh my God, I can just imagine, because this is the type of sacrifice people mean when they say you have to sacrifice. You don't essentially have to be time. It could be things that you worked for that now you have to pivot into something else, something that you're not really uncomfortable doing, projects that you didn't know would come up, things like that. So you have to make those type of sacrifices. And for me, it was just like, okay, well, the max we can put into it is XYZ, and you know, but that would be everything. That would be it. That would be done after that point. And so we went all in. We went literally all in. And so we're like, okay, this is our max bid, and we ended up getting the house, surprisingly, because we ended up finding out who the other 2 bidders were, and they definitely made more money than us. So we're just like, oh my God, thank God. They must have not been willing to sacrifice things in their life to get what they essentially wanted, was the house. They didn't want it bad enough. Okay, so that's what's really separating you between 99% of other people in the world. You just don't want it bad enough, all right? And that's okay. You know, maybe you'll want something else bad enough. And I can even talk about relationships in this way, but I chose a house. Okay, so you know, moving forward, it was just like, all right, now we had to put the plan in action. Okay, so now we made the decision, now we had to put the plan in action. And the plan in action was literally selling everything, moving around everything, and trying to figure out now how we're gonna get us 2, our pets, and our 3 kids into this house comfortably while we rehab it. And at first we hired a contractor, and they stole our money, and so that was fun. Not only that, but you know, we essentially could only live in 1 room in this whole house, and the heating wasn't working. A story of my life at that point, because our vacation home didn't have heat when we bought that either, but we didn't know until we were there in 20-degree weather. But again, a story of my life. Yeah, there's other instances and things I can pull on that, but anyhow. So moved in. There was a room back here in my corner that we lived in essentially for the first 8 months that we lived here. You know, it was just a whole bunch of mattresses on the ground and some clothing on a rack, and that's how we lived for like 8 months. And he actually was like moving over all of our loans, selling stuff and everything on our behalf while I was raising kids, pets, and rehabbing. So essentially 1 room at a time, the house got rehabbed. And still today, there is still plenty of work, just like any home, you know, it evolves and things that You have to make sacrifices in certain rooms to get other rooms up to par, and that's pretty much how it is, right? So essentially, I end up getting my house, and even after all of that, because you can even say, okay, well, circumstances with, I just want to put this in here just because I know there's going to be some like objections, like self-injections, like, well, I have kids, well, I have pets, well, I don't know how to do X, Y, Z. It's like you can learn anything. Literally, you can literally learn anything, and you can learn the process of doing it, which is really nice. So I didn't know how to rehab a home. I didn't know how to do electricity. I didn't know how to clean grouts or clean bathrooms or take down drywall or put up drywall or like anything. Like I never had to do that before. Guess what? The process of wanting to get something done is stronger than not ever doing it. Like you have to just start it, like jump in the project, feet first to head first, whatever. Like you have to jump in it to fully like adapt faster. You know how people say that, they learn to swim by their parents throwing them in water? I do not recommend that. I would never do that to my kids, like ever in the lifetime of ever. Some people, well, everybody learns faster if you're actually plunged into the situation you have to learn. So that's how it was. I plunged into a situation I wasn't comfortable with, and I didn't have no idea what I was doing, so I had to learn quickly. That's pretty much how a lot of people are successful. They are faced with a task, they have no idea how they're going to get out of it, and they start just implementing everything until it works out. So that's pretty much it. That is your key to success. Anyhow, so moving forward, get the house essentially that I manifested, but there was tons of sacrifices during that journey, as you could tell. And like I said, I do want to throw in an objection here too, because like I was saying, the learning thing, the kids thing, the pets thing. I had 3 kids. They were all under the age. Let's see, there were 4, 6, and 8 at the time we moved in here. We ended up having to transform our whole life, like moving, obviously, like a lot of people do. And not only that, in 2018, separated from my husband. 2019, started divorce proceedings. 2021, owned the house myself. So I had to pay my husband out of the house. I had to make sure I could even keep the house. So I had to go to court back and forth to get it. So again, you're going to come up with, there's going to be stuff in your life that you're just going to be like, I have no idea. Like everybody's telling me otherwise. And I'm feeling like it won't be possible because, see, even when I went through a divorce, my judge said, well, we didn't know what the judge was going to say at the time, but my lawyers, I had 3 of them, all thought there would be no way I'd be able to keep the house. All of them. So they told me, get rid of my pets, start looking for schools for my kids. They've always been homeschooled, by the way. And start the process of getting rid of stuff. So guess what I did? I started getting rid of stuff, and I got rid of my 4 horses. I had 4 horses at the time. Absolutely devastated me. So because it was such a quick life change to be like, okay, 1 year, like everything seems to be smooth and like on the right track, to the next year be like, what the heck am I doing? I am listening to people that should be knowledgeable maybe. And then you start looking at their life as well as their financial things, and you're like, wait, they have a totally different life. So don't compare yourself to anybody, by the way, guys, because your situation is always going to be different from the next person. Never compare yourself to another person. All right, so anyhow, ended up keeping my house. I fought for it myself in court, and I got to keep it, paid off my husband, ex-husband now. And so it is my home. So again, and it wasn't like to impress anybody. It was all for me and my family, and essentially my kids and my pets and all that, and what I wanted to do with my life. You have to like hold on to that vision so strongly that even when those challenges come, that you are going to find a way to overcome them. All right, that was the point of throwing in, any other objections I could think of that somebody's going to say on this video. All right, so other than that, so I am an only parent at this point, raising 3 kids, all teenagers now, and I've got 4 pets, and I've got a massive property and a big house, and it's possible. All right. So again, don't let your friends or strangers influence your decisions in your life. Okay. Nobody needs it needs to be nobody's business, but even if you decide to share it, then, you know, don't let them like talk you down that you should have less in your life. You should always strive for more. All right, and I like to put that in too, because I know a lot of people that are of, like you say, middle class. I know all types of like class levels, all right? But I know a lot of people in middle class that get pressured to having any success in their life. So they work so hard to get the success and they feel bad about it, all right? And there was a point in my life that I felt the same way, and I started downsizing everything that anybody could possibly see, like my car and everything, which is the wrong way to act and think. So never limit yourself for somebody else. All right. Or a group of people, all right? Get new friends. Get new friends, get new influences. Get a coach. That is the story of how I manifested my house. But it started with the vision. So it started with the vision and not talking any negativity in my life or doubts or saying that, oh, I don't have that kind of money, or there's no way I could do that, or you know, it's not possible. I never had that. Like I said, never had that. And it was just like, it would be really nice. I'd be very grateful. Like, so it would be really nice. I'd be very grateful. I can just imagine. And I would always say that, like, I can just imagine living there. And my youngest daughter remembers me. She was just bringing up this conversation. We were coming home the other day. She was like, do you remember all the times we used to drive by the house and you would talk about it? Like, every time we drive by the house, you would talk about it. You were like, man, can you imagine, guys? And I would say it out loud, and I would tell my kids every single time. I'd be like, can you imagine, guys, if we had all that yard? Can you imagine if we had some horses? Can you imagine if we were right here in town instead of driving another 20 minutes up the road? Can you imagine what the sunlight looks like when you're sitting on the porch? Can you imagine when the sunset goes over on that beautiful field? Can you imagine being so close to the trails that we can walk out our door and have access to them? Can you imagine the things that we can do with your bikes as we go riding on the trails? Can you imagine what type of vehicles we can fit into that garage? You know, like, see what I'm saying? I talked it into existence, all right? And that's where it started. So from there, like I said, the keys to manifesting is not essentially starting with the vision. You need the vision. You need visuals, okay? So you don't need a set vision, okay? Like I was telling you before, I said it would be nice to have this one. It could have been any house that was essentially what I was looking for, but this one fit the best aspect of all of that. So that's why it manifested this exact house. But if you leave it broad, then you are more open to possibilities and opportunities to come your way that's going to fit a similar mold on what you're asking for. And this could be even a relationship. This could be even a job opportunity. This could be a new vacation, a new trip, whatever it is. Okay. And I'll give you some more examples too, because I'm thinking of some as I'm telling you this. But you have to start with something to get something, all right? You have to start with something to get something. Okay, so for me, it was the idea of having a home that was much larger than my last home, that was having space, that had woods, that had access to things that I didn't essentially have access to. So it started with that type of vision. It wasn't like a clear-cut vision, like it has to have this, it has to have that, it has to have this, it has to be like this, it has to... I had an idea of what I really wanted, okay? And I have some visual representation of what that is, right? And then every time I was confronted with the vision, I would imagine what it would be like, and I would voice that. What it would be like if? What it would be like if? You know, what would birthday parties look like? What would holidays look like? And every time, you know, I would talk about it openly or just internally, then it would become a little bit more real. So you have to surround yourself with environments or images of things that you want, and then talk them into existence by putting yourself in situations that you are exposed into that environment. And this could be driving by a property. This could be imagining a relationship like the ones that you see on Instagram or TikTok. This could be going to mastermind events and getting access to private locations that are like essentially like private networking groups, things like yachts, things like helicopters, things like private jets. This could be the right type of friendships that you want in your life. If you go to, you know, different conferences, as well as charity events. So again, your decisions today matter, and everything that you do starting today is going to get you a step closer, even if it doesn't seem like it, okay? And I would like to put it that way. Because again, like Steve Jobs says, nothing makes sense when you're going forward. It's only when you look backward does it all like align, right? So true. so true. So whatever you're doing today is a direct reflection of everything that you did yesterday. And I don't think that's a quote. I think I just made that up. But either way, that is definitely, you know, how it is. Like everything that you have today, everything you are today, everything that you imagine you are, everything that you believe you are, everything you eat, everything you accept as your reality, every like habits is all reflected back to a situation or a circumstance or an influence in your earlier time, like from 2 seconds ago to 20 years ago. Yeah. So like it's all seeds that was put into you, information that was put into you that is who you are, right? And you can change those. And that's what's really cool about being a human, right? You can actually change that trajectory and change your environment, change your influences, change the way you make money, change how much money you make, change the pets you have, change the relationships you're in. I mean, literally, you could change everything, and it's not going to happen at once. This is why it's so important to make quick decisions so you can get there faster, as well as you can get over those hurdles of mistakes and challenges. So you have to put enough information out there to start getting feedback, okay? And this is why I really love startups. I don't know if you guys know, but I've done startups for many, many years. And what a startup starts essentially a bootstrapping a business to grow it and then eventually sell it or keep it or, you know, whatever, or partner it off or whatever. And this is why I like that type of business model, because it's the ascension of the same ideology of, you know, actually expanding on something and make it something by just sheer effort alone, okay? My cat is literally pawing the water over there. So you have to, like I said, put enough seeds in the world, or enough information in the world to get what you want, all right? And that is very, very important, because the more you do, the more feedback you get, the faster you can utilize the information to make the right decision the next time, or make that change or duplicate it. So you need the information. The information is the most important. So when you are trying to get somewhere faster, do more of it. Seriously, do more of it. And let me give you an example of this. So I started as an Amazon influencer for the platform Amazon. I can do lives, I can do live streams, I can do product recommendations on Amazon and get paid by Amazon a commission by just referring products and brands. All right, so to start that process, I did over 100 videos in 2 months. So actually, I think it was less than 2 months. So let's say 2 months for video reference. So in 2 months, in December, actually no, it was less than 2 months, because I started in like 2 days before Thanksgiving, and it was all December, and I finally hit 100 before, it was like the 3rd of January, because I just missed the 100 on the 1st, which I was trying to strive for, but I was 6 videos short, and there was not enough time to like squeeze them all in. But it was soon after the 1st. It was like the 3rd or the 4th that I hit over 100 live videos. That's over 2 hours each, 100, so it's over 200 hours of just videos. That's not putting together the content. That's not talking to brands. That's not doing like research. That's not like figuring out what the heck I'm going to talk about for 100 videos. That's not even looking at how many videos I was really putting out. It was just, I don't have enough information to go off of. That was my whole thing. I don't have enough information to go off of, so I need to make more videos. I don't have enough information to go off of, so I need more videos. Because at the end of each day, I get a report, but at the end of the month, I also get a report. And of course, I was trying to hit a imaginary goal. That's how life is. You hit imaginary goals in life. That's, you know, you make the imaginary goal up. Or other people do for you. You know, it's an imaginary goal. You know, what's your goal? Like, you can set it for yourself, or somebody else can set it for you. Your work sets imaginary goals for you all the time. If you work for somebody, if you work for clients, they set imaginary goals for you. You know, there's always somebody who's setting a goal for somebody, and it's, guess what? It's all imaginary. All right, so you have to you have to like, I wouldn't say you have to know what you need to know, but you just have to just start the process and get enough data to analyze, to see if it's something that, one, you actually like doing, you actually want to keep doing it. Two, if there's any thing that you're missing. Three, also, you want to see how you can double down and duplicate. All right. And if you're consistent with it, if you're planting the right seeds, you're going to get the right crops. Okay. If you're planting, like I like Jim Rohn saying, Jim Rohn, amazing motivational speaker, inspired me to do my own motivational tracks with the same producer, Roy Smooth. If you haven't seen my post on Facebook recently, I've been working with Roy Smooth to make motivational tracks, and Jim Rohn was one of the first motivational tracks that I've listened to by music, and Roy Smooth was actually his mixer, the person that produced the music and put it everywhere across the world. And so I was really honored and humbled when I met Roy and started working with them to produce the album that we just recently produced with other amazing motivational speakers. So check out my bio for the rest of that information. But what I essentially wanted to say is just like, you have to plant the right seeds to get the right results, okay? And Jim Rohn said, if you plant thistle seeds, you don't get pumpkins, all right? You're not going to get corn. You're not going to get an acorn tree. You're not going to get, mangoes. If you plant thistle seeds, what are you going to get? You're going to get thistles, obviously. So with enough data, you're going to know what's going to work, and you're going to double down on that and plant more of that, all right? And that was the whole point of that. So to manifest, again, you need to have some kind of vision. Now, it doesn't have to be exact. It just has to be enough information on what exactly you might want, okay? And you can have lots of wants, and they might be totally different wants. But as long as you have something, right? Something. That's it. Something. And then from there, you figure out steps day by day. Now, don't use too much brain power on this. Use your heart. And what I mean by that, don't overthink it. Because the more you think about it, the less you're going to actually do the actions. Just start doing everything. It will actually work out. Again, you are out there getting data. That's all you're doing. Okay, for me, looking at houses, when I looked at this house, it was never on my mind that this would be the house that was actually for sale at the time I was looking for a house. That's how manifestation works. When you're looking for something at the right time, at the right place, and you're looking, and you have your possibilities open, the possibilities are endless, right? So anyhow, you have to have the vision. Again, not exact. You have to put in the right actions every day. But the only way to put in the right actions, you have to have enough data. And you have to start working for it sooner than later, because there's going to be challenges and struggles that you're going to have to cope with. Okay, when I mean with cope with, everything in life, you're going to have struggles and you're going to have challenges. Now, what are you willing to sacrifice to overcome those struggles and sacrifices? And some people will be like, oh, well, money, or oh, well, time. Time and money are the least things that I struggle with, like when I'm thinking about doing something new. And I see this with a lot of, you could say, influencers, coaches, or gurus, right? But they always say time or money, but literally as you evolve past the time and money thing and not really think of it as a setback or a strategy to get forward in life, you'll realize that that's not what sacrifice is really about. It's really about quality time with your loved ones. It's really about investments. Like, what investments? Are you investing in yourself? Are you investing in somebody else? Is it education? What kind of education? How many days do you have to study? What music am I listening today that is not influencing where I want to go in my life tomorrow? What type of image am I portraying? How am I showing up? It's because my lack of not knowing how to do something is setting me behind. And so that could be a struggle. That could be a challenge, especially when you're used to, say, sleeping in, or not styling your hair, or not dressing a certain way to get a certain position in life. You have to start taking those actions as soon as you possibly can to start the momentum. in that forward vision. Okay. And if you're not willing to make those sacrifices, then you're never going to get what you want. Okay. And like I said, money and time is the easiest sacrifices to make by far. Money and time is the easiest sacrifices to make. It's when you have to change your appearance. It's when you have to wake up at a different time. It's when you have to exercise. It's when you have to not spend every day with a loved one or your kids and switch it for more quality time. It's for not being able to just spend the vacation or spend your weekends freely as you want. It's moving because you have better access to different things. It's about selling that nice car that you spent all your money on, or all your dreams wishing to get that next big thing because you want capital to raise this orphanage or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? You have to make those type of sacrifices, and those type of sacrifices are the hardest sacrifices I have ever had to overcome. The sacrifices of getting rid of my horses, the sacrifices of moving out of my 10-year home to get this home, because I didn't think it was going to be as hard as it possibly was, but it really was, because there was a lot of great memories in that last house, and it was really upsetting when it was like, okay, now it's moving day and I actually had to pack. And coming into a house that wasn't even ready to be moved into in the first place. So, you know, the sacrifices of not seeing loved ones, you know, because they live in different places around the United States. And, you know, instead of using the time to go see them all the time, you know, using it to build my life and build, you know, other things that I have done over the years. It's a sacrifice of saying, you know, I just want to eat whatever I possibly want to eat. No, to like, I got to eat more of this because that's going to keep me healthier, right? So it's sacrifices like that that's going to make it challenging and hard, and you wanting to give up, because it's the habit and the mindset and the comfort that comes with that. Okay, guys, I hope that this helped you tremendously. I know it was very long-winded and everything, but I hope this did help you a ton. And I look forward to any feedback or comments or anything on your journey thus far, and knowing how you are striving through your challenges. And make sure that you do start with that vision board. So if you haven't started the vision board, on my Facebook page, there is a video I did a while back. You can find it on TikTok. It's actually pinned on my TikTok. So under my TikTok, it's Amina.k. It's my first and middle name. You can go to TikTok, type it in. It's one of the pinned posts. Watch that vision board one, save it, and work on your vision board. Because your vision board is going to be the most powerful tool that you can literally do anytime. You could change it anytime. You can work on it anytime. But you have to put work into it. For any vision board to work, just like any lifestyle to work, you have to set aside hours of your day to actually drive to that neighborhood, to actually be in those rooms, to actually learning a new skill. It's so important to like spend the time visualizing things that don't yet exist in your life. Work a little bit harder each day to improve any aspect of your life you can possibly improve, to look or feel more like that person that you want to become. So again, it is a process. It's not essentially overnight. It can be overnight. If you're willing to literally change overnight, you could literally change overnight. You can reach out to people. You can ask for help, of course. Don't ever expect people to help. Remember, it's your mission, not theirs. Getting the word out there more. Don't pressure people, by the way. You can always just talk about it and people will come to you. So when you are doing those steps, you are being more open to the universe and saying that, you know, you're putting the effort out there. You're putting the effort out there, and the universe is going to respond in a similar fashion. Remember, we're all vibrations, and our vibration responds back to us the same way. It's like an echo. So if I shout a certain way, it's going to echo back to me the same way. If I am being negative, negative energy is going to come back to me. If I am being positive, positive energy is going to come back to me. You can have variances. You can have, of course, what people like to say as haters, or people that disagree with you, or people that don't see your vision. You can have those people, because in their reality, it doesn't exist. It's not possible for them. And that's fine. You know, they're going to be there. They're always going to be there. And the bigger you grow and the louder you are, the more people that you are going to attract. That just happens to run across your page because they have the same kind of idea they want for their life, but they just don't see it possible. So if they don't see it possible for their life, they won't see it possible for your life. But again, your life and circumstances is different from everybody else's life and circumstances, so don't ever compare yourself to anybody else. And I know I said that time and time again, and a lot of times I do repeat myself because it's going to take a lot of time to reprogramming your brain internally, and recognizing the challenges and setbacks is things that you can overcome, as well as you can get there faster by just accepting there is going to be challenges and obstacles to deal with during your process. And it's not scary or like, don't make it scary, should I say. Don't make it scary. Just realize, just come to the acceptance that in life, you're going to have challenges and obstacles that you're going to have to overcome. Now, they can be from other people or from other influences, and that's what a lot of people like to dwell upon. But again, you can change that dynamic and say, well, I let that happen to me, or I didn't value myself enough to have it happen to me. And don't just literally just like, okay, whatever, it happened, don't dwell on it, don't overthink it. And you can create those circumstances and challenges in a positive light and striving to what you want to do. You want more problems and challenges, but you want to create those problems and challenges for you, not for you to be complacent and have those problems and challenges add up and then you feel like you're down in the ditch even further, because now you're not striving for what you want and you have all that. You're always going to have all that, but strive for those problems and challenges that you essentially aspire to go through. And if you have no problems and challenges, then you're not living. You're literally a dead person. Like, seriously. If you have no ambition to be more, do more, give more in your life, again, you're just waiting to pass away, like be nothing in this world, because you were gifted this life to be abundant and radiant and be a light for others. So definitely inspire others with your story. Go out there and make your own dreams true in the process. All right, guys, I hope you have an amazing night. Thank you for watching, and I hope this video inspired you. And if it did, make sure you do save it and rewatch it. Of course, you can watch it on a fast mode, or you can skip to parts in it at any time, and you can watch those. I will also be putting it on my YouTube channel for you guys. I'll probably do some editing here and there for it, so it'll be a little bit easier to follow along. But either way, if you like this raw video as it is, go ahead and save it and rewatch it anytime you want. I'll leave it here for you. Take care, and I'll talk to you later.